When was the last time you felt truly happy and didn't worry about anything? I mean, really anything. Your job, money, or the future. In this video, we'll explore the 7 main lessons from Dale Carnegie's bestseller, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. These lessons will help you eliminate at least 50% of the worries in your life. Lesson 1. Yesterday is gone and tomorrow is yet to be born. Have you ever found yourself unable to fall asleep, replaying what happened during the day, or getting anxious about what has to be done the following day? Perhaps even dwelling on events from months ago or worrying about what may happen a year from now? Most of us have this experience. However, it is completely pointless. There is literally nothing you can do about what happened in the past. If you keep thinking about it, it will just consume your precious time, energy, and attention, and you'll end up feeling worried and anxious. Instead, focus on the present moment and don't let the past steal any more of your life. Take the lesson and experience from it and close the door behind it. When you think about the future, use it for planning purposes only. Don't let your emotions or worries take over. Just like with the past, you cannot predict the future, but you can influence it by what you do today. As Dale Carnegie says in the book, the best possible way to prepare for tomorrow is to concentrate with all your intelligence, all your enthusiasm, on doing today's work exceptionally well. That is the only possible way you can prepare for the future. Lesson 2. 3 steps to solve your worries. How would you feel if I told you that tomorrow morning you have to give a presentation in front of 100 people?
Uh-oh.
Your palms might start sweating, and your mind will most likely start to race with worries about all the things that can go wrong. Even though giving a presentation in front of 200 eyes is certainly challenging, imagine the following. You are a captain of a plane with 155 people on board and suddenly lose both engines when flying over New York. Not ideal, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking.
Well, exactly this happened in 2009 when Captain Chesley Sullenberger was flying a plane that struck a flock of birds and lost power in both engines. With no engine power, Sullenberger had to make a decision in a split of a second. How am I going to get the plane safely on the ground? He followed a 3-step process to make his decision. He quickly assessed the situation and analyzed his options, ultimately deciding that the only safe option was to land the plane on the Hudson River. He then took action, calmly and skillfully executing the landing and saving the lives of all 155 people on board. He has rightly become a hero of the whole world. Carnegie describes this 3-step process in the book. It really helps you overcome your fears and worries. And as you just saw, that has a huge impact not just on your life. Step 1 is to get the facts. You need to identify what you are afraid of and get as much information about it as possible. You cannot tackle something you do not understand. Step 2 is to analyze the facts. Take a look at the information you gathered in the first step and see what options they give you. Carnegie recommends asking yourself the following question. What can I do about this? Then write down the different alternatives. By considering the pros and cons of each option, you can get a clearer picture of the situation and choose the best way to proceed with. In the third step, you need to decide and take action. This is the hardest, but the most important step. Once you have analyzed your options, pick the one that seems the best at that moment and commit to it. By taking decisive action backed by facts, you conquer your fears and worries. The speed at which this process happens in your mind is influenced by 2 factors: how much you practice it and your level of experience and knowledge in the field related to the problem you are solving. The captain from the story before had almost 30 years of experience as an airline pilot, and that is the reason why he was able to make such difficult decisions so quickly. Carnegie says, and I really agree with him, that it's crucial not to look back once a decision is made. Even when we have second thoughts about our choices, we must avoid getting caught up in doubts and wondering if we could have made a better decision. While analyzing the facts is important, It's equally important to act decisively and dismiss any anxiety after the decision is made. Trust me, this piece of advice is pure gold. I used to overthink a lot of things in my life. And the result? Time was passing by and I got nothing done. It's much better to make a decision with the information you have in front of you than to do nothing. Lesson 3. Little to gain, much to lose. Enough is enough. Sometimes all we need are these 3 words. How often do we waste time worrying about things we should just walk away from? Whether it is a toxic relationship, a job we hate, or a simple disagreement with our partner. And exactly for these situations, Dale Carnegie recommends that we set a stop loss on our worries. For those of you who do not know what a stop loss is, it is a term used commonly in trading and investing. Let me explain it to you on a short example. Let's say you bought Apple stock for $200. Since you don't want to lose too much money, you set a stop loss order at $190. This means that if the stock price drops to $190, your shares will be automatically sold to limit your losses. By setting a stop loss order, you limit your potential loss to $10 instead of risking much more if the stock price continues to drop. And we can apply the same principle to many life situations. Why waste your time and energy arguing with someone who refuses to understand your perspective and insists on holding their ground? The truth is, there's very little to gain and much to lose from such arguments. That's why it's important to establish your own stop-loss point, where you simply say, enough is enough, and walk away from the situation. It literally applies to most aspects of our lives. Look at this example of Dave. Dave is 35, has a mortgage, family, and also a job that he hates from the bottom of his heart. He's hesitant to leave it because he's scared of losing his only source of income. However, the consequences of staying in such a job can be very serious. The chronic stress and anxiety that Dave experiences can lead to numerous health problems, including high blood pressure, heart disease, depression, and insomnia. I know this example might sound familiar to some of you watching, so ask yourself, is it really worth sacrificing your health and well-being for a paycheck? Trust me, there will always be other job opportunities out there. I was also scared to leave a job to start my own business. I felt anxious, couldn't sleep, and experienced stomach cramps whenever I saw any notification related to my job on my phone. My advice is, realize when you have enough. It's a feeling that sticks with you the whole day. And at that point, start looking for a new opportunity while you're still employed. Lesson 4. Take criticism as a compliment. Have you noticed that whenever you or one of your colleagues do something well at work, there is always someone who tries to criticize it? Or that one friend who always tries to belittle you when you share some accomplishment? Let me give you a personal example. When I started reading a lot of books about personal development, I told my friends about it. One of them said, "Hey, who reads books? What are you trying to accomplish? Trying to be a nerd?" Well, I can just add that we are not friends anymore. Carnegie mentions that people often belittle those they envy. It's part of human nature. It makes them feel more important when they compare themselves to you. But deep down, they feel like they are missing out on something and want to bring you down to their level to feel better about themselves. Therefore, don't let it discourage you or make you doubt what you're working on. Instead, take the criticism as a compliment. When you know you did something well or accomplished something and are met with criticism or belittlement, take it as a sign that you are doing something noticeable. To quote the book, "Nobody kicks a dead dog." People might try to knock you down because they feel you're doing better than they are. At work, they might often be afraid that you will replace them or be promoted instead of them. Dale Carnegie also shares the golden formula on how to stop worrying about criticism. First of all, focus on doing your best work. When you put in your best effort, your work will speak for itself. Second, be constructively critical of yourself. Acknowledge your mistakes and learn from them. And lastly, remember to take any unjust criticism as a compliment. This will help us build confidence in our abilities and not worry so much about what others think. Lesson 5. Stop expecting gratitude. When was the last time you did something without expecting anything in return, simply because it made you feel good inside? We often expect the other person to show us gratitude or return the favor. However, when that doesn't happen, we become frustrated or even angry and feel like the other person did not acknowledge our efforts. These emotions completely overshadow the good feeling we had from doing something for someone else. Let me introduce you to the story of James Harrison. James Harrison is an Australian man who has donated blood plasma every week for over 60 years. His rare plasma contains an antibody that helps prevent a potentially fatal disease in babies. He has saved over 2.4 million babies, but has never received any personal thanks from the families. He said, "It's a great feeling to know that you are saving a life and that the life you are saving may one day go on to live a full and happy life." This story nicely illustrates what Dale Carnegie says in the book. Instead of expecting gratitude and reciprocity from others, simply enjoy the good feeling that comes from helping. By not expecting anything in return, the good feeling you get from doing something kind won't be ruined by negative emotions like anger or frustration. Lesson 6. Do you see the mud or the stars? Last year, I went through a period in my life when I didn't know where I was headed. I felt like I was stagnating in every aspect of my life, and everything I touched turned into a disaster. All I could see was how poorly I was doing, while the people around me were thriving. I was focusing only on the negatives and ignoring the positives. However, I wasn't even trying to create any positive changes. I was just comfortably living in the negatives, blaming everything on the misfortune I was experiencing at the time. But after a few months, when my friends and family told me I had become a really negative person, something clicked. They were right. I wasn't doing anything extraordinary. I was just comfortably stuck in my negative bubble, putting in minimal effort to get out of it. And let me tell you something. It's always much easier to blame everyone else or bad luck and do nothing to change it. Thankfully, I started working hard on myself again, and as a result, a few months later, I began working on this channel to help others do the same. This kind of situation can easily happen to anyone. Perhaps you've already experienced it or are going through it right now. Before that period, I was working hard on my self-development, reading a lot of books and constantly pushing myself. However, when rougher times arrived, I struggled to keep my course. It's like sailing on a ship. It's easy to be the captain when the water's calm, but not everyone can navigate through a storm. As Dale Carnegie says, "Our thoughts make us what we are." To many of you, this quote can sound very basic, but whether we like it or not, it is true. If you focus on all the negatives happening to you, you will not only become a negative person yourself, but you will also attract negative people into your life. And then the vicious circle continues. You will feel like everything is going wrong, and your worries will completely control your mind. At that point, it's crucial to become aware of it, just as I did when my loved ones pointed out. Keep in mind that emotions and thoughts go hand in hand and influence each other. Dale Carnegie suggests doing one simple thing that we all can do. Act happier and think positive thoughts. Trust me, it's so obvious and so simple, yet so many people refuse to do it. To me, it helped tremendously. Just start focusing on the positive stuff, and instead of worrying about the negatives, try to improve them. If it's not possible, acknowledge them as facts and do not waste your time and energy on them. Feed your positive self, not the negative one. Whenever I feel like I am getting negative, I remember this quote from the book. 2 men looked out from prison bars. One saw the mud, the other saw stars. What do you see? Lesson 7. The Golden Nuggets. I've chosen this title for the final lesson because these takeaways from the book are simple to explain and don't require entire chapters. However, I still wanted to include them because they are very important. Takeaway 1. Stop hating your enemies. Dale Carnegie says, When we hate our enemies, we are giving them power over us. Power over our sleep, our appetites, our blood pressure, our health, and our happiness. Takeaway 2. When life hands you lemon, make a lemonade. Since I became self-employed, there have been several projects that didn't turn out well. At first, I took it very hard, and it took me a few days to get over it. The time, energy, and money I spent on them, and in the end, nothing. However, I started to view these projects as if I had paid for life lessons. Now I take lessons from every success or failure and use them to improve. Remember, behind every closed door awaits something new. Make the best out of every situation. Takeaway 3. Happiness is best shared. Do you call your loved ones when you achieve something? For example, when you get promoted or pass an exam at school. It's our natural response. Shared happiness, as well as shared experiences, create a stronger emotional response in our bodies, intensifying our feelings. As Carnegie says, if you want to keep happiness, you have to share it. Lastly, I want to share 2 quotes from the book that really resonated with me. Those who do not know how to fight worry, die young. One of the worst features about worrying is that it destroys our ability to concentrate. And that's it for this summary. If you want to learn how to reprogram your brain, watch the video you now see on the left side of your screen. To learn about the 16 types of people, watch the video on the right. My name is Matt, and I thank you for watching.